Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today I'll be taking a look at the brand new Tier 4 Merchantman Freighter. As always, chapters to each topic are listed down below. First up, let's go over the origin of this ship, both in the Star Trek lore, and how you can get it in Star Trek Online. Lore-wise, the Merchantman originates from Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock. It was hired to transport classified Federation data on the Genesis device, and was later destroyed when the recipient, Kruge, learned that the data had been viewed while in transit. And as for how you can get this in game, it is the reward from the first event in 2025's Event Campaign 7. This event is live on PC right now up through February 11th of 2025, and will likely be starting up over on console around February 18th. If you missed this event, a buyout option is available starting at 2500 Zen, which will decrease in cost based on your progress in the no-win scenario event it comes from. That buyout should persist until early 2026, after which this will eventually hit the MUDs and or Phoenix stores a few years from now. Now, heading over to the visuals, I imagine you'll see Martin and Endeavor do a better close-up of this ship here, but here is some angles of the ship. Here is below. Here it is from behind. You've got these four big engines on it. The side profile. The top profile. Here it is again head on. It's an interesting little ship here. You know, it is a pretty small ship being a freighter, and we'll get into the stats here in a moment. But when it comes to the customization options, there is nothing. The only option to change the visuals here is via gear pieces that apply cosmetic changes, such as Vandy shields. And as for the interior here, I'll be going over that in a few minutes, but let's head over to the stats first. Now, as a Tier 4 ship, and one that the devs have specifically called out as not being designed for combat, don't go in and expect this thing to be anywhere near as capable as any of your Tier 5 or 6 ships. The value that this ship offers is not in combat, but rather it's the utility it offers in sector space, and again, that freighter interior. For the stats, you have a hull modifier of 1.1, a shield mod of 0.9. It has a 3-2 weapon setup, 3 device slots. For the bridge officer setup, a Lieutenant Universal, Lieutenant Commander Universal, and Ensign Universal. For the consoles, 2 TAC, Psi, Ninja. For the mobility, base turn rate of 15, impulsive point 16, inertia 40, and for the power buff, +5 to all subsystems. And as for the unique features, with the interior, you gain access to a trade duty officer assignment contact, a quartermaster vendor with discounted rates for some commodities, and a full suite of exchange, bank, and mail consoles. And while you're in sector space with this ship, any vendors you interact with will also give you that discounted rate on their items. In addition, while in this ship, your Transwarp drive gains access to directly take you to most of the exploration clusters in the game, which is quite nice for anyone doing doffing, especially if you're trying to farm up the Bertrand chain or any of the other chains to get the duty officers they have. That direct Transwarp is going to be pretty handy for you. Though they do also note in the blog here that this is an older Transwarp drive, so it does have a small chance to fail. So you're just going to randomly have it not work and then be on a 7.5 to 15 minute cooldown. And the last feature here is that you gain the ability to summon in a security transport ship in sector space, which grants you access to prisoner transfer and contraband assignments. So that's pretty handy if you're doing a lot of doffing in sector space. You can do your contraband or prisoner transfers without heading over to a social hub, so that is a pretty nice perk. Okay, so next I'm going to try those features in reverse order of how I just mentioned them. So starting with the security transport here, I am currently on a Klingon captain. And when I tried this the other day, it was not working, so let's see if that has been fixed yet. So I've seen this summon in Excelsior, and now we have a Galaxy here. I cannot interact with it on my Klingon character. Let's see if it works on a Fed. Okay, I just claimed one on a Federation character. Let's see if it works. And immediately I have a prompt here to interact with it, and this time it summoned in an Enterprise E, a Sovereign. So it's got a nice variety of ships that it can summon in, but it is currently busted as you saw there, so it's only working on the Fed side. I imagine that's something that they'll get fixed here pretty soon. And as you may see here, the cooldown for the summon for that security transport is 2 hours. And for the Transwarp options, you have a bunch here for the Alpha and Beta Quadrant. So you have these here that'll take you directly to each of the exploration clusters. So these all have some doff chains on them where you can get some purple doffs and some other goodies. These don't see as much attention nowadays, but they used to be very, very popular back in the day. Especially Betran, because that chain could get you very rare Ox to Bat duty officers. Next, let's head to the interior to see what it has to offer. So to do this, you hit the arrow at the bottom right of the minimap and visit Starship Bridge. And again, the interior here is the exact same one that you would get if you had purchased the Amari class Smuggler's Heavy Escort, which is a promotional ship that also happens to be in the Mud Stealing Time bundle. That's how I have mine. So if you've seen that interior, then you know everything already going on in this one. In the very first room, you have some of your duty officer contacts. Over to the right, you have a console that has the option to contact some of the other DOF contacts on the ship, though the trader that is unique to these freighter interiors is not included here. You also have the library files here if you need that. For the ship selector, it is not a full ship selector that's going to let you pick from all of your other ships. It is just limited to small craft, which is a bit unfortunate. If you look at some of the other freighter interiors, like the Suliban Cell ship, that has access to swap you over to any of your other ships. So I do wish that would be changed here. And then at the back left in the bridge, you have an account bank console. There is another in the room that has the exchange and mail. So heading through this door at the back of the bridge, there's a door to the left here. This has the doctor and science DOF contacts. Going back down to the right, that door is closed. Over to the left here, we have the chef and bartender. And there is a central room here that we'll take a look at here in a minute, but let me just continue to the back of the ship. There is an engine room back here. And you do have an engineer DOF contact you can talk to. And you can see that lovely warp core there. Now for this central room, this is where the exchange, bank, and mail consoles are at, along with the quartermaster and that trader contact. There's multiple doors into this room. If you want in here, you can just go in any of these doors and then just jump over the balcony. Or if you want to go the long way around, there is a hallway that will wind down all the way to that. And I'll show you that here. Okay. So over to the right, or I guess if I open up the map here, this is on the bottom left of the room. You have the quartermaster. At the very bottom is an ambassador you can talk to. In the middle is a Ferengi trader. So I'll look at the quartermaster here in a minute. But this console back here is for the bank. This one at the top left is for the mail. And remember, the mail system was changed in the past year or so. So you'd never actually have to go to a mail console. You can access your mail anywhere to send and claim items. And then you've got your exchange console over at the top right of the room. Now let's take a look at some of these contacts, starting with the Ferengi trader. This guy has some unique missions for you, and some of these will require some consumables, and if you need to pick those consumables up, you can just talk to the quartermaster. So the quartermaster is going to have reduced rates compared to... Okay, so it turns out that contact is also bugged if you're on a KDF character. That's just great. So I'm on a Fed now, and if I interact with the quartermaster, it has a different prompt, what local commodities are available, and you can see there that you're getting a 20% discount on all of these commodities. So you can pick these up cheaper, and then you can use them for DOF assignments, or if you want to try and flip some on the exchange, that's not really worth doing anymore, but if you wanted to, that's an option. So you're getting them at a little bit of a discount there, which is pretty nice. Though it would be really nice if this actually worked on the KDF side. And that pretty much wraps up the interior. It is not the best freighter interior. This is a very, very large map, and it's not the easiest to navigate. Like, if I want to get back up to the bridge, if I invited someone to do a trade, I'd have to either have them run back to me, or I'd have to go up that hallway and run back to the bridge. It's a much larger bridge than it needs to be, but for some of you, you may enjoy that. And it has a lot of nice functionality here. The KDF side stuff, I imagine the devs will get that sorted out, so I'm not worried about that long term. But it is nice to have access to something like this. You may not use it that often, but having access to a freighter interior and a freighter can come in handy at points, even just for that utility, even though there's no combat value. It's just a good perk to have unlocked on your account. And to wrap this video up, I have an Infected Space Elite to play for you guys, where I did a couple DPS with the Merchant Man. This happened on one of Trizander's streams the other night. Nick was in there tanking, and he did give me an additional fleet power. So it's a pretty standard complex plasma fire setup that I went with on this. The bridge officer setup is not optimal. I was trying some solo runs, but this thing just does not have the HP to survive solo. I just did not feel like bashing my head up against that to try and make that work. So enjoy the run in a 5-man team. It's not fully supported, but you get to see this thing do a little bit of damage.
Watch, I'm saying it right now. Spencer is gonna get 1.5.
How many front weapons does that thing have?
3. This is 3-2.
I'm pretty sure you can still pull it off.
Yeah, maybe with all of us buffing him, but...
And it cannot run dual cannons.
So you're running single cannons?
Yes, I just upgraded a set of ultimates.
Oof.
I'll give you that console later.
Scanning the nanite threat. God, additional data activations.
Have some of that.
The nanite probe repair the threat. Stop them.
Don't die, Spencer.
Trying not to, bro.
Yeah, I can see why you need
Keep up with him. Keep up with him.
Probe is closing in on the threat.
He's got like no shields.
Ooh, I'm tractor beam by something on the side. I can tell you right now that I shouldn't be surprised by the current result.
Is it even more than what I said?
No, it's less, but it's like... It's a tier 4 freighter, and you just like... He's a damn robot.
That's even number 2.
Even lower now, it's dropping kind of hard.
Yeah.
Man, if it was 7 more seconds, I would have been able to give you another one.
Thank you for the fleet powers.
See, he's laughing.
And that's going to be it for today. Hopefully you enjoyed that fun little run. I think that in a fully supported environment, we could definitely get the Merchant Man to at least 1.5 mil, maybe a little bit more. There's so much power creep in those supported environments that you can get some really stupid numbers with just about anything. Realistically, though, I would not take this ship into like random content. You're not going to have a good time. It does not have much survivability. Even with Nick in there tanking for me, I was pulling threat and almost died at a couple points. And I actually did die in a hive we did later on in True's stream. So it's not got much survivability at all, and there's not much you can do to really give it much survivability. But again, that's going to be it for today. As always, thank you to all channel members and viewers for the continued support. See you guys around.